evening. Welcome to Vibrant Hong Kong. I'm Mishi.
And I'm Erica. Good evening, everyone. Christmas is just a few days away now. I know that many people have a habit of celebrating by having a festive feast or even going to the buffet. But I'd like to urge everyone to take a moment and think before following through with their plans this year.
Why are you being so serious all of a sudden? Are you trying to remind our viewers not to overshop? Or are you warning them to be careful not to put on holiday weight?
No, Mishi. I'm hoping that everyone can give a thought to food sustainability while enjoying the holidays. Food miles, food waste, overpackaging, and the environmental impact of what we consume are just some of many issues that we should consider.
In that case, I think you'll be a big fan of the invention we're about to introduce. Taking the concept of farm to table to the next level, it not only minimizes food miles, but is also plant-based and comes without packaging.
Does seeing all these lush and leafy greens whet your appetite? Do you want to pick some to eat right now? Well, you can absolutely do so because these beautifully displayed veggies are waiting to be consumed by diners at this very restaurant.
And this is a very special species called Ocelus triangulus. They have a nickname called purple butterfly. We always introduce these species to the people because it will give them a very impressive taste.
This glass cabinet is neither a greenhouse nor a fridge. It's actually a smart mobile farm.
The smart mobile farm is just like a smart home for the plants. We use the data to create the ideal growing environment for the plants, essentially about the temperature, the humidity, the lighting, the water quality. In the water quality, it means pH values and electronic conductivity, which is a fertilizer indicator. Take an example, basil. They normally like a little bit more warm temperature, to make the plants grow more quickly. And then also the lighting, in terms of the lighting intensity, if we change to lighting spectrum and intensity, the plant shape, in terms of leaf shape, leaf size, and also the colors will change accordingly as well. So we actually interact with the plants accordingly with the requirements of the users. The smart mobile farm structure is just like a mini climate system. We have the lighting intensity and also the spectrum control. Different intensity and also the spectrum will have different effects of the plants. You can see that in the user interface, we can have the real-time data to monitor the ideal growing environment at the moment so that people can decide whether they need to control the environment to make a specific result of the data and the plants. The breakthrough about the smart mobile farm is to empower people to farm everywhere in the city so that they can grow whatever they want and they harvest whenever they need.
The Smart Mobile Farm has won a number of innovation and design awards. In addition to engaging in research and development, as well as sales, the team behind the system recently began collaborating with schools, spreading knowledge through hydroponics.
We want to join these projects. Mainly, we concern in two aspects. Firstly, we think these projects can encourage interdisciplinary learning by helping students to integrate their knowledge from various subjects. More than that, we think that these projects can foster our student community contributions and a business practice through vegetables donation, which enhance our students' social engagement. What's your duty in these projects?
For example, checking the lights are functioning properly, and some plants or the seeding, is it growing properly, or some of the leaves are turning yellow, or we have to cut it.
I see.
And we also check the nutrition solution in the water. This project is innovative, so for me, I like to join this because there are many facilities that I've never seen, and those facilities are very new to me. And moreover, I think growing a plant from a seed and then somehow we grow into a plant that we could eat or selling to others, I think the project is innovative.
This this Hong Kong-developed system has caught international attention recently. With the assistance of Hong Kong Trade Development Council's Sydney office, it has reached a cooperation agreement with an Australian real estate group to provide smart mobile farms to its properties.
Tonight we've invited Bonnie Sheck, Director, Australia and New Zealand Office, HKTDC, as well as Raymond Mack, the co-founder of a green technology company, to tell us about this success story. Welcome to Vibrant Hong Kong.
Thank you.
Now let's start off with Raymond. Your colleagues just returned from Australia, so why don't you tell us about the objectives of this trip and give us an overview of the itinerary?
Yeah. Our team has a very intensive but very fruitful 2 weeks in Melbourne. The main objective is actually to work with our JV partner in real estate sectors and then to craft out the solutions and also meet a very important clients there. And because our solution is not only in land development area, but also in education, hospitality, and retail. So we took this chance to meet our potential clients and then to finalize some of the offerings.
Yes, it does sound really fruitful. And I know that one of the main reasons behind the success in tapping into this market is obviously the efforts of HKTDC's Australia office. So Bonnie, could you tell us about the work scope of HKTDC's overseas offices?
Sure, Erica. HKTDC has got 50 offices all around the world, including 13 in mainland China. So our global network serves to develop Hong Kong's trade and promote Hong Kong as a two-way global investment and business hub. The overseas office very often organize many local events to help the overseas companies to understand Hong Kong, to we highlight the opportunities here, help them to understand how they can use the Hong Kong platform to meet their business needs, whether it's sourcing, selling, finding agent distributors, business partners, or investors. And for those overseas companies that want to explore the China market, we also encourage them to go through Hong Kong, because many of them, including those companies from Australia, they feel very comfortable operating in Hong Kong. They understand the Hong Kong common law legal system. They like the fact that English is widely spoken in Hong Kong.
Well, I understand that Australia is a major exporter of agriculture products and has a food self-sufficiency rate of over 100%. Now, with that in mind, Raymond, what was the rationale behind pitching Hong Kong-developed mobile farms to this country?
Yeah, I mean, at the very beginning, we thought the same. Like, it's a very mature market in terms of the agriculture products. But we found that actually climate change did have an impact, to a country and market like this. Yeah, because research and also our partners reflect that more than 20% of the agricultural products was impacted throughout years because of the climate change. And because of the green technologies that we developed, we can grow the plants in a very sustainable way. All over the year, and then, to really overcome, their climate limitations as well. So we have that kind of opportunities, to work with different sectors and then to really provide some of the on-site supply to them. And I think this is actually our cutting edge.
Working with different sectors does sound really exciting.
Right, and it sounds like your team is really trying to save the world and doing that internationally. Good job. Now, how has this trip to Australia panned out, and did it meet the expectations that were set out? Because obviously you launched a pilot project in Australia, and that's quite an achievement.
I think it's actually a fruitful trip for sure, because first of all, we know that in a new market, we have to really focus on connecting with the clients, understand their needs, and then of course at the end is about the content and finalize the offerings. So I think the main takeaway of this trip is actually to really understand their final needs on that, to prepare the rollout next year. We basically met few very important clients in each of our target sectors, namely hospitality, education, and also land development. And we basically meet all the targets that we have, and then we look forward to the rollout next year.
And it all sounds like they're very customized and personalized plans for these companies, right?
Right. Now, Bonnie, I know that matching a Hong Kong enterprise with an overseas organization is no easy feat, especially in the innovation and technology sector. Now, Bonnie, could you share a couple more success stories with us?
Absolutely. I'm very proud, of all these homegrown Hong Kong tech businesses that are expanding now into a market like Australia. There's another one that is in the construction technology, property technology, that, and what they have got to offer is to enhance the workplace safety in construction sites. Now, workplace safety is extremely important in Hong Kong. So they got a lot of traction, a lot of interest from the local businesses. And they're also in discussion with Deakin University in Melbourne to explore doing joint research to enhance their technology offering and also to gain the local market support. So another one that I would like to share is a smart textile brand. Is the textile warms up in 30 seconds. And we connected them with a Australian fashion designer, and they co-create a fashion collection showcased at the Australian Fashion Week in Sydney in May and got a lot of media coverage. So, yeah.
That sounds great.
Now, Raymond, you earlier mentioned that the education sector also benefits from your green solution services. We saw in the video earlier that smart farm labs have been introduced into schools to empower students with various skills. So could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, we want to try to bring some new elements and also care about the acquisitions of the future skills for the students. So when we work with the school, we want to be a little bit greedy, in terms of giving them the best education quality and also the opportunities, and at the same time help them, to connect with the community. And one of the things that is very groundbreaking in Hong Kong is to have this lab attached to a real entrepreneur program. So the students will really design, the products to fit different needs, and then they have the community not only, to pity, different individuals in the community, but then also with the community shops, we help them to connect. So this kind of empowerment is not only about the technology empowerment, it's the operation empowerment, it's the solution empowerment. So we're very glad, to have the opportunity to work with more than 10 schools so far, and then we provide more than probably 2 tons of vegetables per month to the community on that one. So we are very proud and very happy about that.
Well, I love that your team is cultivating a sense of community with the students starting from a young age, and I'm sure that provides them with agency and builds up their confidence. Now, Bonnie, if small and medium-sized enterprises in Hong Kong wish to expand into the Australasian region, like Raymond's company, where should they start? And are there any trade fairs that they can attend, and which industries currently have the best prospects?
Start with TDC?
Of course, of course.
We stand by to provide the support, and we have got specific initiatives that cater for the Hong Kong SMEs. One such program is T-Box, which stands for Transformation Sandbox, and it aims to help the Hong Kong SMEs in the area of branding, digital transformation, manufacturing and supply chain solutions, new market expansion, as well as sustainability. And once they sign up, then we'll provide them with the support over a 3-month period through a range of services. And the best part is the service is free and is open to all Hong Kong companies that are registered here. So with regards to international trade fairs, we organize over 30 of such trade fairs and conferences throughout the year. And we bring a lot of international buyers coming to our trade fairs across many sectors, whether it's design, fashion, jewelry, electronics, lighting, medical. And I want to highlight one particular, the newest one that is catered for the tech businesses, is Indowex, which takes place in April. And it's the platform for smart city innovation and also technology commercialization. So it's really suitable for innovation and tech businesses here to be part of this. Yeah, it's very international.
Well, I mean, if you're starting out from scratch, there's really nothing to lose. To work with HKTDC, you get all the resources, connections, platforms, and all the professional advice.
Yes, definitely. So now that we have went through different collaborations with business sectors and introducing it to students, so I would like to know, Raymond, could you share your experience of breaking into a new market with us? What challenges did you encounter in the process?
First of all, understand the market needs, and also the regulations is the first step, because you know, the regulations in Australia or other regions, they will have their own characteristics. And secondly, which is to me is very important, I cannot agree more with Bonnie, is that you have to understand the culture. Even we have a more mature solutions than before, we still need to be humble and still need to understand and meet people's, you know, be friends and really understand what they want. And then to design the best thing for them.
I think Hong Kong SMEs need to understand there needs to be a point of differentiation. They need to have certain competitive advantage. And it may vary from one market to another. Say, for example, for a market like in Australia and New Zealand, if your technology offering can save labor costs, there are very good prospects. Because labor costs in Australia and New Zealand are high. And there must be a ESG element. Should be good for the environment, at least not do any harm to the environment. Ideally have a social impact, create social impact, and must adhere to all the international standards.
So lastly, Bonnie, could you tell us about the role that our city plays in Hong Kong, Australia trade, and do you foresee further growth in the future?
I'm very glad to say that Hong Kong and Australia have always enjoyed very steady trade, very healthy bilateral relations. And part of it is building on very strong people-to-people links. Estimated 100,000 Australians living and working in Hong Kong. And very often business is built on these people-to-people links. And of course, government policy help as well. There is the Australia-Hong Kong Free Trade Agreement that was signed back in 2020. So very laid a strong foundation. I mean, I'm very confident that with the Australia and Hong Kong trade and investment relations will continue to grow.
We certainly hope that the bilateral relationship and the partnership between Hong Kong and Australia will remain, you know, stronger than ever. So thank you so much to Bonnie and Raymond for sharing your experience of expanding into the Australian market, as well as the importance of thinking outside the box. Now, we look forward to seeing carbon emissions come down as more of our locally developed INT solutions make their way around the world.
When we come back, we'll be giving you a preview of Christmas concert in the park. But first, let's go island hopping in Sai Kung and experience the healing power of art and nature.
Get ready for some island hopping art adventures. The Sai Kung Hoi Arts Festival is bringing incredible art to Yim Tien Zai, Hai Island, Sharp Island, and Khao Sai Chau, a unique mix of creativity, culture, and history. This year, get ready for Hai Island. I've got A-Lin, the curator, to guide us through the amazing new works. Wow, A-Lin, we're standing in front of this beautiful mural. I know it's called Divine Revelation from the series of the Chronicles of Hai Island by Vivian. So can you tell us more about it, these elements of folk culture?
Yeah, it's a series of mural wall. It's 3 in total. So this one is right next to the Tin Hau Temple. So you can see the Tin Hau hands giving blessing to the visitors, of course to the fishermen. And then you also see the lion dance and Qilin dance here, because it represent the cultures here, especially for the Qilin dance. It represent truly of the Hakka culture. And then you can see also all the sea animals, creatures. It's also representing the used to be like a livelihood here for villagers to go outside for fishing.
Well, A-Lin, we are standing in front of this interesting artwork, half conservation, half creation, the Dancing with the Wind at Kwong Wo Yuen. Tell us more about it.
Okay, so you can see it's a former grocery store. It used to be supply all the food to the boat during the 1930s up to that moment. So when we came to this site, we found that the signage basically was run out. So we won't be able to see any sign of the grocery store. So we talked to the owner. Personally, I flew to London and then meet the owner, Mr. Chen, to understand more about the culture, more about the history of that part, and then try to help them to restore the signboard. We help them to recreate the signboard because it's a 22-word signboard, and then it's believed to be the longest signboard in Hong Kong. So we use the 3D techniques using concrete as a 3D print by Stefan, and then Master Fu, who investigated the calligraphy of this old wording.
This is easily my favorite artwork this time. It is so simple and direct and indeed genuine. I think this is what makes art so touching. This work encapsulated like the life and the people who are living here at that time. The way it's recreated and the way it's preserved is the essence, I think, of also echoing the theme of Sai Kung Hoi Art Festival. Where land and sea embrace, Rhythm of the Dragon, a captivating installation, reveals itself anew with each rising and falling tide.
So we're standing here at Hai Island, and there's another name for this island called Dragon Boat Bay. Dragon boat and dragon has become a cultural and historical motif of Hai Island, and we want to celebrate this cultural and historical aspect of the site of the installation. So therefore we chose this as the main form and inspiration of the design. So throughout our design process, we want to bring out a few different information. So for example, there is this Hakka community on land and Tanka community on water. And we want to celebrate the unity between different communities. So what we have done is there's different colors on the dragon scales, and these colors were extracted from different significant buildings in each village. The second message we want to bring out is that we need to be environmentally aware and friendly. So we have used recycled plastic. So another message that we want to bring out is to respond to the ever-changing nature.
This year's festival features a standout piece, Through the Years to Touch You, situated at the Old Pier on Yim Tin Zai. This work is a collaboration by X Art, a creative team comprised of artists and scientists. The artwork integrates bamboo sculptures, augmented reality, and performance art. Dominic, can you share with us some of your inspirations and how is your work connected to Yim Tin Zai?
As I am an eco-artist, I normally work with natural materials that found on site. So for this project, we chose bamboo. As for the bamboo moon gate, the structure forms a portal which connects the past and present of the villages. And it asks us to reflect on our own present and the past, the impermanence of human memory.
What do you do to get in the festive mood during this time of year?
When I was little, I loved looking at Christmas lights and going to crowded places to experience the festive atmosphere. But I prefer the quiet these days, so staying home and putting on a Christmas movie or record would be perfect.
I really enjoy dressing up and getting together with my friends over the Christmas period, but having some me time and listening to music at home sounds great too. I can't decide what to do this year.
Well, why not both? Let me introduce you to a festive concert organized by RTHK Radio 4, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Here's some rehearsal footage from Christmas Concert in the Park 2024 ahead of the performance on Christmas Eve.
RTHK Radio 4 is a unique fine music radio channel in Hong Kong that puts a spotlight on genres such as classical music, Chinese classical music, and jazz. Today I've come here to the station to see how the preparations are coming along for its year-end spectacle, Christmas Concert in the Park, which is also part of its 50th anniversary celebration.
First Christmas concert was held in 2005. We would like to get all the music lovers, our listeners, together to celebrate Christmas with good music.
Can you share with us the theme of this year's concert and what are some of the highlights?
Yes, the theme of this year is our music journey. Well, first of all, we would like to thank our listeners to stay with us for so many years. And we feel like that we are growing up together with fine music, so it's kind of journey. And for the program, we have invited Hong Kong composer G.E.M. to arrange a work which is like an audio history book on classical music.
The idea of the concert is about the journey of classical music, which include a lot of well-known tunes. We have also chosen some work from old time to contemporary, which include some early music like Gregorian chant, some music from the 19th century, and also works from 20th century, like the work from Gershwin and Piazzolla. Also, I have arranged a Christmas medley for the finale of the concert, which the audience can sing all the Christmas tunes together so that we can enjoy the concert together.
I know that you'll be presenting your new work in the concert. Can you tell us more about that?
I composed this piece especially for this event, for the RTHK Radio 4, the 50th anniversary. I have written a short new piece called Jubilee Jingle, which is based on the RTHK Radio 4 ID. The theme is da dee da da, and I extend the notes to a 2-minute piece.
So Radio 4 just turned 50 this year.
Yeah.
What celebration events were held to mark this special milestone?
We had a few other events earlier in October. We have 2 music in comedy concert, which we collaborate with our long-term partners, including the Hong Kong Philharmonic Orchestra and the Hong Kong Chinese Orchestra. And in early December, we had another project with Shanghai Radio Station, which they are celebrating their 20th anniversary while we are celebrating our 50th.
Join us at 5 p.m. on Christmas Eve at Olympic Square, Hong Kong Park to embark on a festive musical odyssey.
Music is just one of many ways of documenting emotions and experiences. While some people do so with photos or by putting pen to paper, our next guest chronicles Hong Kong as seen in her eyes through captivating illustrations. Please welcome writer and illustrator Sophia Hotong.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So much. Thank you.
Based in our city, Sophia published the illustrated book, The Hong Konger Anthology, several years ago. More recently, she has released her latest work, The Unlikely Hong Konger. So Sophia, could you tell us a bit about this book? As a continuation of the Hong Konger Anthology, what elements have been incorporated?
Sure. So the Hong Konger Anthology came out in 2021, and I had been making the Hong Konger artworks as a joke for only about 9 months, and I didn't really know what I was doing with it. It was just something fun, and I thought I'll put them in a book. And so that book has poems and 70 of my Hong Konger artworks. 3 years on now, I've ended up having an art career from it, which I did not expect. Everything that's come since then with a job that I never sought out to have actively culminates in this book, which is, I like to say it's 2 books in one. One of them is, it's every Hong Konger I've ever made, including 12 that I've never shown anyone before that are from the vault. And it's also a memoir. It's the story of how I started out as a Hong Kong kid, wanting to do something corporate, becoming an IT auditor, and slowly over COVID and through chronic illness recovery, becoming a writer and illustrator, best known for the Hong Konger.
I'm sure you had a lot of unlikely encounters, hence the title, The Unlikely Hong Konger.
Exactly, you got it, yes.
And I mean, like 100 pieces of artwork and within the span of a year, right? That's quite amazing.
You're giving me too much credit. So it's about 2 years.
2 years.
But still, you have to remember, I made all of these when I was super chronically ill. I was stuck in bed, didn't have a job, wasn't really going out because it was COVID. And so when you don't have anything else to do but make art, 200 pieces isn't as daunting as it sounds.
I mean, Erica and I have been checking out the book, and we surely think that there's a lot of like very cute sense of humor. It's a great showcase of your personality. Now, could you share your favorite artworks from the book with us? And what are the stories behind these pieces?
Sure. So I'll give you a cute one first. So I met my husband when I was at university in New York. His name's Spencer. And we were long distance for about 4 years. And 2 of those years we did not see each other because of COVID. And so one of the first original Hong Kongers I made, because after a while I stopped subverting the New Yorker magazine, is a Hong Konger that works both upside down and right side up. On my side, it's me in Hong Kong at night typing a message to him, and it says the Hong Konger. And if you flip it, it's him typing a message back to me, and on the top it says the New Yorker, because that's where we were. So that's a cute one, and that Hong Konger is called Already Home. And a fun one I did, which is more about the story of my career growing, was in 2022 for the Affordable Art Fair, I made a mural. And I wanted to do something community-centric. I wanted to bring people into this mural. So on Instagram and in email newsletters, I asked people, strangers, I said, if you feel like a Hong Konger, send me a picture of yourself, I'll draw you and I'll put it on a wall. And about 300 people submitted. I could only fit 216 on the wall, but I tried to keep it diverse and show the breadth of what Hong Kongers can look like. And so that is one of my favorite pieces because it brings back great memories, and I made a lot of friends through that project.
I was just about to say, what a great way to meet new strangers.
Exactly.
Right?
So that one is called Hard Times, which is a pun on a Dickens novel. And then, okay, this is a weird one. This is like kind of haunted, but I have a Hong Konger called Closing Time. And I made it in 2021, like in the spring or the summer, before the Jumbo floating restaurant ended up in the sea.
Oh, wow.
And it depicts the Jumbo floating restaurant sinking into the sea. So when everyone saw that, they were like, how did you predict that would happen? And I didn't predict anything. I wasn't trying. I'm not responsible for anything that happened to the Jumbo floating restaurant. But I have this artwork that shows it sinking before it did.
Sophia the Prophet.
Maybe not.
Unlikely Prophet.
Yeah, there we go. The Unlikely Prophet. That's book 2.
Right. Now, with the festive season approaching, are there any Christmas-related illustrations in the book?
I have a few Christmas ones. I have a fairly Christian one. It's called Junk of the Magi, which is a pun on the story Gift of the Magi. And it shows the 3 wise men, but they're in a junk boat going along the harbour with Wan Chai in the background with their gifts. And then I've got a more fun one, more childish one, which is called Santa at the Tatateng. And it's basically Santa refueling while on his rounds on Christmas Eve. And he's eating like a bowl of noodles, there's toast, there's milk tea, and an elf is working in the Tatateng. And outside the window, you can see the reindeer waiting to get going again.
I mean, it's all very hard work and labor for Santa.
Exactly.
So those are like the best, most celebrated comfort food in Hong Kong,
Exactly,
right?
yes. And Santa likes it too. Why wouldn't he?
Of course.
And I think the Santa, like, it's just really witty, like being in a Tatatang. I've never imagined Santa being in a Tatatang. So that's really cute. So your drawing style is quite unique, with many unexpected perspectives that blur the line between reality and surrealism. How would you describe your artistic style?
I think, well, talking about Santa at a Tatatang, it's weird to us because it's a part of Western culture fused with a part of Hong Kong culture. And I think that's what I am as a Eurasian. I think that's what a lot of Eurasians are. We're mishmoshes, and we're not exactly 50-50. I think I'm a little bit more Guaimui than local. But I think a distinctive part of all my work is that mishmosh, that hybridization of 2 cultures that I've grown up in. And then I also think that there's a chronic illness component where when I go about my daily life, sometimes I have a cane, sometimes I have, it's like a walker on wheels, it's called a rollator. And when I walk through Hong Kong with these things, I know Hong Kong very well, I feel, but I've never noticed the steps. I've never noticed a little uneven ground that I now have to navigate. And it made me really observant. It made me have to keep an eye out for everything. And that's a really useful skill if you're drawing or illustrating, because when you want to recreate worlds or settings on paper, you're like, what did it look like? And now, because I have this eye to pick up on stuff, I'm able to convey it through my art. So I think what my art does is, it's funny because I like to make jokes. It shares different cultural elements, and it also picks up on things that we all know are there, but maybe haven't specifically noticed because they're just part of the scenery usually.
While you were ill, it kind of opened up your senses with your surroundings, and it helps you put more details and convey it in your art, I guess.
Yeah, and they talk about mindfulness a lot. It makes you more mindful because you just have to be more aware of what's going on and grateful for what you can do. And I think that translates well into art.
You know, talking about meditation, it's about paying attention to your footsteps too, right?
Yeah.
Being in the present, and it's interesting that you're not only observing what things look like, but how they feel like, especially the ground. So that's very interesting too.
So what motivated you to create an art collection about Hong Kong, and why did you choose to present Hong Kong in this method?
I think just because my eyes are the way my eyes are, I'm very drawn to color and shape. I like angles and lines. And so when it comes to depicting things, usually that means I like depicting buildings, streets, cars, things like that. And so where do I know, am I most familiar with buildings, cars and streets? Hong Kong. I've grown up here my whole life. And I feel very attached to this space. And I feel I have memories of going to school here. I was a child actor on RTHK. Oh, wow. So I have all these memories of Hong Kong. And I think they've built up so much that I need to get them out. How do I get them out? I'll draw them. And that's probably why I keep wanting to create things about Hong Kong, because it's such a huge part of me. It's all I know.
Now, Sophia, your work is closely tied to Hong Kong society and about people from different walks of life. So where do you find the inspiration for your creation, since we're talking about inspiration?
So this is actually, I fail a lot in different projects I do, and then I just don't talk about them, so it's fine. And one of my failures was initially, when I was doing my first book, the Hong Konger anthology, I thought instead of doing poems, I would interview people. I would interview people who were ice skaters or Olympians or worked in the customs office, like as random as you could get. I wanted to get a huge, diverse pool of Hong Kongers and interview them about their lives. And in the end, it was too ambitious of a plan, and I didn't get enough interviews that would pair with every single Hong Konger I did. But I still had hours of footage from Zoom calls of interviews. And in the work I made afterwards, sometimes their interviews would influence me. Sometimes I'd call them up again and be like, hey, you mentioned this. Can I make a Hong Konger about that? And I think the exercise of talking to people, especially when I was really lonely, I was so sick and I was too scared to go out and maybe get COVID and get sicker, having that opportunity to talk to strangers and get stories from them broadened my very bubbled understanding of what Hong Kong is and influenced the art that would follow significantly.
Speaking of, having different plans in life and, meeting different people, I know you recently moved to San Francisco.
Yes.
So why do your works still draw inspiration from Hong Kong, and what does this specific city mean to you?
So in the book I talk about this. I call Hong Kong a sticky town, because everywhere I go there are memories. I feel like every place is just sticky with memories of not only where I did my driving test or where I went to school, but also where my dad was born, where my papa went to school, where different things happened. And so everywhere I go in Hong Kong, I see stories, I see memories, I know of family memories. And I call San Francisco in the book Slippy Town, because I don't know anything about San Francisco. I went there for the first time, like as an adult with a memory. And so, love San Francisco, think it's beautiful, but there's a dimension to Hong Kong that is part of me and part of my family and part of who I am. And I need to get it out, like I said, and need to create and put these memories on paper.
It's that deeper connection with the city that turns into stickiness, right?
Yes, exactly.
Now, speaking of like growing up in a certain place, some people might think you're not an ordinary Hong Konger because of your appearance or the fact that you hail from a prominent family in Hong Kong. How would you describe your relationship with Hong Kong?
I think it's interesting, because if I go to San Francisco, I look like a white girl. And so everyone's like, oh, where's the train? I don't know. I'm not from here.
I'm holding a map myself.
Yeah, I'm on Google Maps. And I'll go through Hong Kong. No one asks to interact with me. Everyone thinks I'm a tourist. People offer to help me places. And I'm like, I'm good, thanks. And it's one of those things where we can often judge a book by its cover. But especially the exercise where I did the Affordable Art Fair wall and made Hard Times, that Hong Konger with 216 people on it. it showed me that I am not the only Hong Konger who doesn't look like your stereotypical Hong Konger. And in fact, no one really looks like the stereotype. We are all slightly different. And I think just by being different, by existing, people who are Eurasian, people who are disabled, people who might not normally feel like the mold, add to diversity and add to the vibrant Hong Kong, the vibrancy of Hong Kong.
Thanks for tagging that.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you so much to Sophia for sharing your creative process with us and your sentiment towards this city. And we hope you'll continue to record the goings on in our city so people can see the beautiful side of Hong Kong and the adorable side of Hong Kongers.
And the vibrancy.
Of course.
Similar to Sophia's books, our next item highlights a particular demographic in our city, the adventurous and daring kind. The 100 Ultra Trail Challenge Hong Kong took place between last Friday and Sunday, spanning various natural landmarks in our city, such as Cloudy Hill and Tai Mo Shan. Participants were given 27 hours to traverse 100 kilometers of treacherous terrain.
The temperature may have dipped this weekend, but the atmosphere here is hotting up as close to 1,000 runners get ready for a cross-country race at the historic Lam Chun Wishing Square in Tai Po.
Taking place over 3 days, this trail challenge included a 14-kilometer, 55-kilometer, and 100-kilometer race. This year's competition featured a new course. Due to the large number of participants, the first 3 kilometers of the trail was wider than that of previous editions to avoid crowding. Runners then passed through Butterfly Hill, Longshan, and Tai Mo Shan, with the difficulty gradually increasing. The athletes replenished their energy at various checkpoints along their arduous journey. Some even got an extra boost from their loved ones. In the men's 55-kilometer race, the fastest runner, Shen Jiasheng, took 5 hours, 23 minutes and 26 seconds to cross the finish line at Lam Chun Wishing Square. Meanwhile, the winner of the women's race, Suzuki Ng, completed the course in 7 hours, 36 minutes and 35 seconds.
今天整体都还比较顺利，但是就是可能最后的15公里比我预想的会难一些，所以在最后的10公里可能会比较累一点。 对于我和大家来说都是一个挑战，但是我觉得很开心。
The runners of the 100-kilometer race started their challenge the night before. Navigating the steep and narrow mountain trails, as well as scaling the rugged Petsin Lang, proved to be even more demanding in the dark. It was a true test of both physical strength and willpower. The men's and women's 100-kilometer races were won by John Ray Anifa and Lu Chin, who finished the race in 11 hours, 40 minutes and 23 seconds, and 15 hours, 7 minutes and 18 seconds, respectively. Local trail runner Angie Yan finished third in the women's category.
6 times a week for the training. This one I did last week for the race in the Chiang Mai, and then this is my last race end of the year. I want to be one again.
This is not my first time doing 100 kilometers, and I always do the biggest training week, 3 weeks before the race. I divided the course into 3 pieces and did a recce 3 weeks before. So I did weekend back-to-back training. So that makes up my biggest training week, 3 weeks before the race.
There are quite a few trail running events taking place in Hong Kong every year. Yeah. So what makes today's race special?
This year's the first race I know of that's ever used this Wishing Tree Square, which is a historical area and allows us to have a very festive atmosphere. It also, the start is probably the first trail race that will never bottleneck. Most trail races come to a very narrow constriction early on. This one, the first 3.5 kilometers uphill is all wide enough for people to pass. So I think it creates a very different experience. A lot of people will say that one of the great things about Hong Kong is it's not just a financial center, it's not just a big city. We have this beautiful outdoors that's so accessible. So if you're a trail runner, it's one of the best hobbies to have if you're living in Hong Kong.
The organizer has been holding this event for more than a decade, and a combined total of 2,500 slots were available for the 3 races this year.
In addition to enabling runners to challenge themselves, this competition also gives them the opportunity to explore Hong Kong's wilderness from other angles and discover the different aspects of nature.
For those who prefer a less strenuous form of exercise, shopping at the Hong Kong Brands and Products Expo might be a better option. Here are some highlights from the 58th edition of the Outdoor Extravaganza, which will run until January 6, 2025.
Thank you for watching tonight and wishing everyone an early Merry Christmas. Good night.